Have you guys ever had to argue with your boss about why it's important to pay you on time? Because I have. Before you guys strap into this anxiety-inducing story time, a couple announcements for you guys. First of all, I had a laptop giveaway 6 months ago, and I ended up needing my laptop for work because I updated my new computer to a beta program that Apple had, and it turns out it caused a major bug. Not long after that, I made an update video for you guys, but obviously because of notifications and how YouTube works, not everyone saw it. So with that being said, for the next 5 videos, I'm gonna be talking about the MacBook giveaway. Same thing, make sure you like, comment, subscribed, and you're good. And then I'll announce the winner after the next 5 videos. Oh God, it's so hot, kinda. For my next announcement, because I am unemployed now, please go ahead and purchase Antisocial Coder Club. I have some merchandise. Go ahead and check it out. You might find something you like. I hope you do. It's the best way to support this channel from this point on. I have to push this now. I have to pay rent. I'm sorry. So the story. I am officially unemployed as of before Thanksgiving. Not that that matters, because turns out I've technically been unemployed for months now, but I didn't realize it. I didn't know, I was really excited to make my first video talking about my first year as a professional software developer. Most of you guys came to this channel when I was making videos just saying hire me, and someone actually did. And it was last December that this happened, and I was so happy and so thankful. Now, unfortunately, at around that same year anniversary, I have to make this video. I was really grateful to be gainfully employed during COVID. Now I am just as stressed out as everyone else. So that being said, if you're hiring or if you know anyone who's hiring, please let me know, please. So for the employers out there, if you guys hear this story and somehow see me as a problematic hire and you wouldn't want to hire me because I'm talking about something, it was genuinely disrespectful, genuinely unprofessional. If you guys see me talking about it as a bad thing, then I wouldn't want to work with you. I don't want to see those comments talking about, don't talk about this, nobody's going to want to hire you, then fine. If you're okay with this type of behavior in your leadership, I don't want to work for you. The reason I took this job, I'm not going to mention names or anything because that's so extra. I've seen how the internet reacts. I don't want death threats or whatever the case is. But the reason I took this job is because I was fresh out of a boot camp, right? Desperate for a job, desperate for an easy way, not easy way in, but desperate to just get my foot into the door. It honestly seemed like a good situation. I could literally wake up anytime I wanted and work as long as I put in my hours. That's what mattered, and as long as I communicated. This startup was out in the UK, and I was going to be their first developer hire. As far as I know, till this day, I was their first developer hire. They fully knew that I was trained for full stack development, but this became a mobile development type situation. The pay was horrendous. I didn't go into this for money. I just genuinely knew the fastest way to advance is to go somewhere I'd be very uncomfortable, just like I was in the boot camp, and I would learn so much by just failing and doing every single day. And I love that type of environment. If you guys want my opinion on startups and just working in a normal company, go ahead and look at my video that I have up here. Just safe to say, when everything started, it was all good. Communication was great, expectations were great, and I was just excited to get started. So I always got paid on time. Around the 6-month mark is when things kind of started getting weird, but again, trust was built up to an amazing level. It started off really tiny. I would get paid, but only a portion of my payment. And I'd be like, hey, what's up? They said they had some issues, so the payment was split up, right? So I get the first half on my payment date, and like 3-4 days later, I get the other half. And I was fine, Going into a startup, I knew there's always gonna be some type of issue, work some kinks out, perfectly fine. This was not a major thing as long as I got paid. This happens once. They send me a long message talking about this will never happen again, this lapse will never happen again, next payment period, it happens. And I'm just like, okay, it's fine. I didn't get that same type of apology. Same thing happened. I get paid, lapse, get paid again, and it's okay. As long as I'm getting paid, work is gonna get done. This goes on for 2.5 months. Let's say 2.5 months. Let's just say 3 months. This goes on for 3 months, and each time, and at the end of that 3 months, the communication was suffering, and the timeline in which those gaps were. So I get my first payment, and instead of being 3-4 days later for my second payment, It would be a week later. It would be a week and a half later. By the way they were explaining this situation, it wasn't on them. Apparently the bank or system that they were using was, thinking they were laundering money, so they had to split the payments. And I was like, okay, I don't get paid that much to begin with, but okay. I was just like, you know what? Again, trust was built up to this. So the reason I was letting this go so much is because they had trusted me. Anytime I said I was going to handle something, I handled it. If a deadline got pushed back, I handled it. So my payments started coming in a little bit later and later. I was a little bit annoyed. I'm not going to lie. I mean, money, I have bills to pay now. I had just moved out, so I actually had to care more than usual now. Have you guys ever had to argue with your boss about why it's important to pay you on time? Because I have. It started becoming this whole issue of being told I'm gonna get paid this time, and then no communication happening, and then the date comes, and then that date gets pushed back, and whatever, right? So now I have a whole new month that I'm supposed to be getting paid for, and I have the past 2 weeks that I didn't get paid for at all. They're like, oh, it's just, let's just pay it in a bundle. I'm like, fine. So I'm waiting on that. The end of August comes, and I'm looking at my bank account, no deposits. And earlier that week, he had told me, hey, I split the payments up in small amounts. I'm like, whatever, as long as it all comes in, that's perfectly fine. So I'm thinking, hey, none of that money came in. I messaged him, hey, there's an issue, there's no money in my account. And he talks to me and tells me, yeah, I actually canceled those. I'm like, you canceled my payment? He was like, yeah, there was some things I didn't foresee, so I went ahead and canceled it. Keep in mind, he did not warn me ahead of time. He didn't change my expectation for the end of August getting paid. Nothing. He just told me, hey, cancel those. Every time there's an issue, it was always me reaching out to them. This is an example of bad leadership. If you're gonna start a startup and there's gonna be up and down times, and sometimes some people might not get paid, but you have to communicate with people so that they make that choice of, hey, do I want to go look for a new job, or hey, do I want to stay on and keep pushing, right? Bare minimum. That is where the line is. Just let people know ahead of time so they can make the decisions. I did not get that. That whole situation about canceling my payment in August completely blindsided me. Keep in mind, guys, it went from being an accounts issue to being, oh, hey, actually, September is a volatile month. Since when? Because this whole time, nobody ever said there was a lack of money. The whole time, we were just talking about, hey, things are frozen. We just had to wait a little bit, split the payments up. You're always going to get your money, which is fine. Now, all of a sudden, there's no money. It's a volatile month. The app was basically done by this point. After all these ups and downs, the app was almost done. All we had to do was get the design work done. Functionality was done. We just had to make it look nice. And because I had just learned this new language, I'm gonna be honest, I was a bad designer. I still am. To make the process go faster so we could launch, they hired an agency to design the app. Functionality was already there. They just had to get the design done, right? And I was gonna work with them to integrate everything perfectly fine. I'm all for launching an app that I've been working on for I don't know how long by myself. So I asked them, how are we able to afford paying for an agency, but you can't afford paying me? And he goes off on this thing, you assume the payment arrangements, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, huh? For the month of September, he said, you know what? Everything is frozen for the month of September. And I'll pay you partial salary till we figure things out. I'm like, okay. So I didn't have to do anything in September. I got partial salary. Keep in mind, I barely get paid that much money. So after hiring the agency and canceling my payment, I obviously get frustrated. I'm like, hey, you should have told me about this. He goes off and tells me, honestly, it was a long argument, by the way, but he goes off to tell me that, hey, he doesn't feel sorry, and he sounds like I'm overextended. Keep in mind, I haven't gotten paid in 2.5 months or 1.5 months at this point. So I start getting worried. I'm like, hey, I haven't been paid. And he's like, Larry, sounds like you're overextended, and that sounds like your own problem. Which, by the way, if your job is to pay people according to a contract, you shouldn't be saying things like that. Imagine your boss giving you money and then trying to dictate how you spend your money. And I'm like, I'm not overextended. I just don't like taking out of my savings to care about rent and care about my bills when I shouldn't have to do that. Basically, he expected me to foresee him messing up. and account that into my own life, right? So because I'm stressed about money, because you haven't paid me, because I'm also underpaid, very underpaid, I'm somehow the problem. It's somehow my fault for not getting paid. I heard no apologies. I heard no type of feeling bad about it. He just threw out a bunch of business words that probably read in a book and then kept it moving. So that argument was very counterproductive. He tells me, hey, this situation is gonna get handled, you get paid, you're right. He's just telling me I'm right just for the sake of telling me I'm right. We have a phone call. I'm over here thinking, okay, everything is, this is a productive conversation. Now I'm back to being excited about working again because, hey, I was given another date, everything was supposed to get started, and I'm excited to actually do something again. So I talked to the agency, we have a meeting about, what's to get done. I check in the next Monday and they're not responding. Agency guy says, hey, we're gonna have to reschedule everything. I'm like, I talked to my boss, turns out money is being held up again. So I'm like, okay. So October, it was just sitting around doing nothing. Nobody got paid anything. November comes, everything's supposed to start in November. Just now it's a normal thing to just push back deadlines over and over and over. I'm like, thought we were starting November, push back again. Hey, I'm gonna be working with the agency again December. I'm like, what? We just talked about November. I'm like, okay. I told him directly, hey, I can't sit around during November doing nothing and just hoping you handle things when everything gets pushed. Can you pay me? That's it. Can you pay me? Yes, of course. You'll be taken care of. I say, okay, perfect. I have nothing to worry about. Oh, I'm so stupid. He gives me a date that I'm going to be paid. I guess I misunderstood because that date comes, I say, hey, I didn't get a payment. He said, no, this is just the date I was going to tell you when you're going to get paid. I said, oh, okay. So when am I going to get paid? He said, I'll let you know this day. So that date comes, keep in mind they're in the UK, so they're ahead. So that when it's that day for me, that date for them is already over. I really should use more descriptive words, but whatever. I wake up expecting a message from him. Again, never checks in about any updates. Message him, hey, what's going on? He says, oh, well, here's another date for you to wait on. He basically gives me another date to wait on. So that date comes, and then he's like, hey, if I can't pay you by this date, then we're gonna have to make tough decisions. I'm like, what? I thought this whole time we were fine with the money thing. He told me the whole time, hey, this and this happened. After this amount of time, money's gonna get unfrozen and we're fine. Fine. He even told me, hey, we have runway till January. Fine. Now all of a sudden, the last message he sent me was talking about we're gonna have to make tough decisions if I can't get you paid by December 4th. Why didn't you just say there was an issue about the money? If there's an issue about funds, let me know that. If you can't pay me comfortably, let me know that so I can at least start looking. Let me know that. Did not let me know that because all of a sudden, funds and the availability of it was just a problem now. So that's the last message. I sent him a message saying I'm actually very disappointed that you're doing this again. He has not opened it, but keep in mind, we message on WhatsApp, very professional. We message on WhatsApp and I see him log in. So I know he sees my message, just doesn't open it. There were promises being made. There were promises made about, my communication. At latest, it'll take me a day. I'm like, that's fine. 24 hours, that's fine. He ignores that too. Horrible, horrible leadership. It's Saturday now. I last talked to him on Wednesday. Might message me when he finally sees this video. Probably will. That's what I've been dealing with. It honestly sucks if I'm being honest. I really wanted to have a full year of just non-problematic work. That's a bare minimum, just as long as I could make my money and do my work, that's fine. But if there was a situation where I was working at a startup and they couldn't pay me for like a month for whatever reason, but I knew my boss was working and communicating, I don't care. That's perfectly fine. But being a mix of very underpaid, especially because I live in California and this is UK salary, by the way, so you guys could Google that. Very underpaid, so my savings weren't that thick. I live in California, I have rent, all work stopped in general. I can't just coast on someone's, off some trust. It's ugh. So let's talk about regrets and some tips I could give you guys. always be working on side projects, especially when you guys are stalled in your work environment. If you're in a situation like me, I wish I just kept up with side projects. I wish I kept growing this YouTube channel. Unfortunately, I just invest myself in everything that I do all at once, so I was just like, YouTube is not my priority right now. Should have been. I would be making more money. I got very comfortable not applying for jobs. You guys should always keep a lookout. It turns out that when I finally got my first job last December, around the same time, I didn't even check my email anymore because, hey, it was a sea of rejections. But recently, I looked through my email and I found like 5 interview requests, and I had just missed them. And they're all from last year, so they're very useless by now. So it's safe to say that you guys should always just keep a lookout. I mean, if you're very happy where you're working, then that's perfectly fine, but just always be practicing code, always be practicing something on the side that will make you valuable in the future. I'm actually very happy that I learned Swift, because now I could say I actually got paid to code mobile applications. So if you guys wanna hire me, please help. I just want to say that there's a reason why startups fail, and most of the time it's always because of most of the time it is because of leadership. If an angel investor doesn't invest in your great idea, typically it's because he doesn't believe in the leadership. That could really be it. And unfortunately, I had bad leadership, and that type of leadership stopped my growth, stopped my financial goals, because I was so focused on, just doing something cool. So it's a tough end to my year, not gonna lie. But we'll see. With that being said, please buy some merchandise. It really actually help. Please go ahead and like this video. I'm gonna be letting out more content now. I'm unemployed now. My final message is just try and try again. It didn't work out this time, but I'm gonna keep trying, gonna keep learning. I actually very much enjoy learning, so we'll see how things go. But yeah, this sucks.